Bonjour guys, welcome back to the FE Success Stories, and thanks to every one of you that come back each week to listen, learn, and discover the success stories of our students. Our goal with these interviews is to introduce you to students that pass the FE exam and share the FE experience with you so that you can pass your FE exam as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So my guest today is Rushabh. Rushabh graduated in 2016 from India and he got his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. He also got his master's degree in mechanical engineering in 2019 from New Jersey. Now, Rushabh decided to take his FE exam not for his job or to get a promotion. It was not required by his job. He wanted to take it for himself because he wanted to excel in his career, and this would allow more opportunities for him in the future. Now, Rushabh took the FE exam 3 times before he passed it, and he finally passed his FE mechanical on March 2021. And in today's video, he's going to share with us his FE journey and what he did to pass his FE. Rushabh, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, great. All right, so before we dive into like scheduling and material and all of that, tell us a little bit about your FE journey. I know you took the FE exam 3 times, so walk us through that a little bit and just tell us like which discipline did you take and why did you decided to take the discipline, and then a little bit about what material you used.
Sure. So I passed my FA exam on my third trial. On the first trial, I didn't prepare much. Like I prepared for like 2, 3 weeks, and during that time, I was like kind of reading the examples, reading the problems. So I was just like basically overviewing the structure of the FE exam. So that was my fault. And I first time I took it with the FE other discipline, but after that I realized I should take the FE mechanical because I did my bachelor's and master in mechanical engineering. So first time I took it in August 2019, and second time I went for FE mechanical in December 2019. So during that time, I was like having my final semester. I was planning to go for India, and all the things were mixed up. And parallelly, I was also working full time as a quality engineer. So I didn't pass it because at that time I prepared for like 1 month probably, but it was so much things at us one single time. So that's why I messed up. And on third try, I plan like I probably come up with the schedule, and I also took the FE mechanical on the third trial in March 2021, and I passed it with FE mechanical.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. Now, let's talk a little bit about scheduling. How many months before you started studying for your third try?
Mm-hmm. So for the third trial, I have already decided like this time I supposed to pass the exam, and I definitely wanted to pass the exam badly. So I come up with a schedule. I make like 6 weeks of 6 or 8 weeks of schedule with the proper chapters alignment with the dates, and I also keep the couple of days as a blank, because if I miss some, if I'm falling behind of the schedule still, I am in between the schedules. So that's why I keep couple of days open in between the weeks. So I would say 8 weeks I properly did my preparation for the third trial of FE mechanical. And before starting my own schedule, I finished your course for the FE morning session, FE bites. So and after that I was like kind of revision doing the revision of the problems that you are explaining to the course, and I was also making up the notes parallelly. So my notes really helped me out, and your course really helped me out to pass the FE mechanical on the third trial.
That's great. Now, so tell us a little bit, what material did you use on your first and second try?
So on the first trial, I was just like using the Effie Linderberg book reference manual. And the thing is that on the first trial, I didn't by like calculated any like, problems by myself. I was just like reading the problems and reading the theories. And at some point, I also feel exhausted with the material because it was too much in the detail where it's not necessary for the exam. Because exam FE exam itself, no matter what which discipline you choose for, it's conceptual exam. It's all about your concepts are clear or not. They don't ask the stuff in the detail. So that was my mistake, and I didn't pay much time in the preparation for the first time. And second time I took the one of the course from outside, and I also use FE reference manual. And at that time I made the notes, but not a lot notes for the preparation. And on my third trial, I feel like I supposed to have limited material with the conceptual things. So I used to watch a lot of your videos on YouTube, and from there I get to know like it should be better to go for FE bias course like it should be better to buy the FE bias course from you. So I bought the course, and I realized like you are solving the problem, explaining the problem, and giving the reference of the problem where it is in the reference handbook and everywhere. So it's really helped me out, because your course explain the things to the point, not like explaining the whole theories and all the stuff. And this exam is all about that. So that's really helped me out. And apparently I was also making the notes as you advised during my preparation.
Okay, that's great. Well, I'm glad that the course helped you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, I do want to go back to scheduling, and then we'll come back to materials. So for scheduling, you said that would use prepared for this exam about 8 weeks, right? 8 to 6 to 8 weeks, and you did put a schedule together for your preparation. Tell us a little bit like how much time did you spend on the morning session and how much did you spend on the second? Like if you know that, like how did you separate those 8 weeks?
So basically, I was more focused. First, I started my preparation with the morning session. Like I try to finish my extra subjects like maths, then engineering, economics, probability, and all those stuffs, because those stuffs are really easy, and you don't need to remember all the concepts of those stuffs. And that probably the problems related to those probably you can solve without using the reference handbook on the screen in the actual exam. So I finished all those math section, like calculative part section first, including ethics and computational tools and all those stuff. And after that I try to focus more on statics, dynamics, machine design. And there is a couple of theoretical like uh, there is a couple of theoretical like MOM, mechanics of material, and machine design is all part of theoretical, like 70% theory, and rest is calculative part and thermodynamics. So that's how I come up with the schedule. And on the first 3 weeks I plan to finish the all the stuff at once, so I can have a much more time for revision and everything at the end.
I see. Okay. Now, how many hours did you study per day?
So basically, I used to work full time when I prepare when I attempt for a first time, and when I also attempt for a last time. So on the last trial, I used to prepare for like I used to spend like 2.5 hours a day during the weekdays, and during the weekends I used to spend 4 to 5 hours in the weekends. But in between I also used to take the breaks, because if I get exhausted or something, to refresh my mind, I used to go to gym, I used to play cricket and everything else. But yeah, I used to spend like 2 3 hours in weekdays and 4 to 5 hours in a weekends.
Okay. And so this is for your last attempt. That's what you did.
Yes.
So you would, wow. Okay. So you would study 2 hours and a half after a long day of work, right? Would you
Yeah.
study at night or in the morning?
No night, because I used to wake up in the morning like around 5:45 a.m. and I
Okay.
used to come home around like 5 o'clock. So I used to take like 30 minutes rest, and after that I used to prepare for the exam.
Okay. Wait, so you would study in the morning?
No, in the night.
At night. So you
Yeah.
would wake up to go to work at 5. So
Yes.
you can't wake up earlier than that.
No, I used to go for work at 6 o'clock, but for that I have to wake up a little bit early. So
Wow.
I used to wake up at 5:30 and used to go for work at 6, because I used to travel like hour or so. And I used to come home around like 4 or 5 p.m. And after that I used to take 30 minutes break. And after that I used to sit for preparation like 2 3 hours.
Okay. Now, during that 30-minute break, what did you do? How did you spend that 30 minutes?
Sometimes I listen music, sometimes I just take the rest on my bed. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Taking some refreshment drinks or something like that.
Okay. The reason I'm asking you because I feel like that transition is very important what you do during
Yes.
that time. If you spend it, being on social media and just kind of going to Instagram, like you're not gonna find much motivation afterwards to really, study. So it's very
Yes.
important during those 30 minutes that you really recharge so that it helps you, stay motivated. Now, tell us a little bit like how did you get yourself motivated because this is really hard for a lot of people this after spending a long day at work and especially you would wake up at 5:30 by the time you get home you're like exhausted, right? So like how did you get yourself like to do this every day to show up and sit for like 2 hours or 2 hours and a half for 8 weeks? How did you do that?
So in the terms of the motivation, I do have the sticky notes on my bedroom in front of my preparation desk. Like I want to pass this exam in between this time duration. So that was a part of, so whenever I wake up every morning, I always see those notes like, oh yes, that reminds me every day, like I have to do this so that you keep up with the preparation and passing the exams. So that is one of the motivation, and another one is like I also believe in professional career growth. So passing this credential or having this credential is one of the more important thing besides your degree. Yes, your degree and everything else gonna help you out to escalate your professional career, but having these extra credentials also may qualify you for the specific jobs or help you to get promotion in the same company, or or we also show you as a qualified guy besides rest of others. So that was one of the motivational stuff. And before like my 1.5 week of the exam, I used to attend your motivational videos like every Friday. That's also helped me out to solve all the doubts and everything else, and the group that you create here, and that's also helped me out to solve the doubts related to any problem or any particular topics.
That's great. So I really love that because, and I remember even through email, you mentioned that when I asked you why did you decide to take the FE, and you specifically said that you wanted to gain knowledge, and that
Yeah,
was your main focus. And I think when you decide to take this exam for yourself, right, because you want to be a better engineer, because you want to learn the material, right, not for your job, like because it's same thing with Nushin, who I posted her interview last week. She had similar experience, like her focus was not about passing the FE. Her focus that she wanted to learn engineering. And I feel like it's the same thing with you. You focus on learning the concepts, like you are really interested in engineering and you really want to like grow as an engineer. And I think when you start focusing on that, that could be like a game changer because now you're not motivated, like this motivation is not something external, it's not dependent on your job, it's not it's not like something that is
yeah,
being.
that's correct though. And specifically like for mechanical engineers, the FE is not like kind of necessary thing, but having the FE may qualify you for another jobs, or if you want to switch your career or something else. So that's the main thing of having the credentials.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, for the viewers, like for those of you guys who really lack motivation, because it's really hard, especially if you've been in this journey for like a year or 2 years, or if you failed a couple times, that fear of failing again creeps in from time to time, and then you lose motivation. Like if you're listening to this, like try to find your motivation, and it has to be really strong so that you don't lose it, right? Throughout. So even on the hard days, you remind yourself, no, this is why I want to pass this exam for me, because I want to prove to myself that I can do this and that I want to improve as an engineer and so on. So, and then what you can also do is write them down and have them on your bathroom or on your desk, so that way you constantly remind yourself. Now it's not something that you choose anymore, like it's not something that you debate yourself about, like should I study today or should not. No, it's just like that's it, it's already made, the decision is made that you're going to study because you want to achieve that goal, so you're going to show up. So thank you for sharing that. Like it's, I think it's gonna like hopefully help a lot of students, because I feel like this is a big problem that a lot of people struggle with. And another thing you mentioned is the videos that we do on Fridays. I just want to clarify that for the for those who don't know what that is. So for our students, we actually meet up every Friday and we just talk about like motivation or failure. This week we talked about the difference between studying and learning, and we also, Rushabh, when he passed his FE, the following week he joined us and then he shared like his experience. We also had another student this week. He passed, Mahbub. He also passed FE Mechanical, and he showed up in this week's meeting. And I'm gonna interview him next week. And it was a great meeting. He was sharing his tips as well, because everybody's journey is different, right?
Yep.
And that's why we do these interviews, so that way you can figure out what works for you. And yeah, and then we just help each other pretty much, that we just motivate each
Yep.
other, help each other, and just make sure that everybody studies the weekend, because that's what you want to do, right? Take advantage of the weekend, because it's hard to kind of study during the week. um okay, so now we talked about your schedule, like motivation. Now, did you do anything to recharge? You did mention that you used to work out before, and I know with COVID, I'm not sure where you are, if the gyms are still closed or open, but did you do anything to recharge? Because burnout is something that is.
Yes. So as I mentioned, like I used to take 30 to 45 minutes break between my preparation and my work. So during that time, I used to go for a gym in my community. They used to open with precautionary measurements, and or I used to, because workout or exercise is really one of the main thing to refresh yourself and keep your blood circulation and all the stuff activated. So yeah, workout is one of the main thing for refreshment. Or I used to take a rest if I got tired really, and or I used to listen to music during that time. So that's one of my refreshment stuff. And in the weekends, if I get bored because I cannot sit for continuous 4 hours, so I used to prepare for like in the morning for 2 3 hours, and in the evening I used to play for cricket. And after that I used to again start preparation for the same exam.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And you mentioned about workout. Like I honestly recommend it like to anyone. And here's the thing, guys, you don't need to be like really good at it. You don't need to weight lift. You can just literally just jump. You can
Yep.
just take a corner and just jump,
Yep.
right? And do that for like 10 minutes. If you do just a 10-minute workout and every day, that could literally like change the whole thing for you. And they really have shown, like studies like over and over, that the students who work out, they tend to do better in school than those who don't. And like you said, that could be such a way to like recharge and just to kind of like open your mind. Like if you work out, you do a little bit of exercise and you hit the books, like your brain just processes the information faster and much better. So I highly recommend working out if you can. Like I said, you don't really need to go to the gym. There's so many YouTube videos you can
Yep.
watch. Just 10 minutes every day.
Yep.
That's literally nothing. We spend it just sitting on our phone and just
Yep.
watching other people what they're doing, right? On Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
Like you could just
Yeah,
take
that
10
is a, one
minutes.
of the main thing, like trying to avoid or trying to be disciplined with your social medias. I literally stopped using my WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram during my preparation of my third time, because on the first and second time I used to reply the message right away. I used to watch the stories and all the stuff. So then after I realized avoiding social media during your preparation, it's one of the main thing, because if you use your mobile for 5 minutes, next 15 minutes you're probably going to think for the same that you already watched during that social media. So that is the one of the main thing, like trying to avoid the social media or try to be disciplined, or allocate like specific time for that.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, those are really great points. I agree. Like, either be like intentional about it. Like, if you're gonna get on Instagram or on social media, you have to make sure, like, okay, I'm gonna get on it, right? You're aware of it, and then also specify the time when you're gonna get out. Another thing, like you said, like try to discipline yourself, and if you can't, you need to try to delete your account. I've actually had a student who literally could not. Like, she really tried to not be on Instagram and stuff, she kept her account and she just couldn't do it, and then she deleted her account, and she told me like she's not going to get back till she passes her FE exam, right? Like, if you are that kind of person who feel like you can't have that kind of discipline, delete it. Nothing will happen, nothing's good, you're not going to miss out on anything, trust me. Like, there's really nothing out there that important. Like, if you are on Instagram for motivational quotes or stuff like that, just go on YouTube and you can listen to a motivational video, right? At least it's controlled, it's not fed to you all day. And another thing you can do is make sure that you guys, like, when you are studying, so this is when it becomes dangerous, and we talked about this in the meetups as well, is that when you are studying and you feel uncomfortable and you feel unstuck, what you want to do is, grab your phone, because you're facing a hard problem, it's a challenge, you don't really want to deal with it, so you want to escape it, you get on your social media. What does that do? Like, it's really bad for your brain because it just really interrupts what you just learned, and you don't process the information as much. And as you mentioned, when you put your phone away, you're going to think about what you saw for the next 15 or
Yep.
20 minutes. So it's going to take you another 30 minutes to just dive in. Then you're going to see the challenging problem, and then you're going to get on back. So it's just like a cycle that never
Yep.
ends. And you feel like you're always stuck in the same position, you're not moving forward. That's why, like, it's very important that you guys don't study with your phone. Leave it, put it away. And then if you don't have that kind of discipline, make sure that you guys just delete it. And I always go on Instagram too, and I'll be like, hey guys, get off of Instagram, go study. I try to
Yep.
remind you. Yeah. So
And there is a one famous quote I would like to tell my fellows, like this quote is by one of the greatest president and the scientist ever, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He used to be a president of the India, and he mentioned, quote, you cannot change your future, but you can change your habits, and surely your habits will change your future. So this is the related to the social media, I would say.
yeah, that's actually very powerful. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good quote. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you guys should think about that quote. Maybe write that down, guys, and then just have it on your wall, just a
Yep.
constant reminder. You have to find habits that are gonna get you to this journey, because here's the thing, it is challenging journey. It's hard to study every day, right?
Yep.
It was a difficult, challenging journey. You gotta keep forcing yourself every day to show up and study, and so you gotta figure out habits that will help you achieve that goal.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, now let's dive into materials. So I'm
Sure.
really excited actually about this interview because I've never interviewed a mechanical engineer student. We've had a couple students who passed with mechanical, but a lot of people, they're shy to do the interview. And so I really want to dive into materials, especially the materials that I don't have on the course, right? Like, how did you study for those materials? What did you use? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So for the morning session, I used your course for my preparation, and plus I also probably used to make my own notes out of that. That's also helped me out. And for the courses that is not in your course, like for the topics that are not in your course, for example, thermodynamics, machine design, and all this stuff. So literally use my Lindeberg book for that. And but I didn't go through all the theories that are mentioned in the Lindeberg book, because I used to take the formulas, and if I got confused in that formula, then I used to read the theory a little bit. And the main thing that helped me out to pass the second session of the FE exam is my notes, because I used to make the notes parallelly whenever I used to use the reference book, or whenever I use your course. So during my notes, I used to mention all the important formulas, which is like hardly to find, or which is like at specific area of the reference book. So I used to write down the formulas just to input in my brain memory, like that is a formula. So that's also helped me out. And I used to write down the units, because units is one of the main important thing in the thermodynamics and other courses. And another thing I used to mention in my notes are important problems that I have solved. So I used to mention the problem number or the page number, so I don't literally don't need to find the where the problem is. So, and I also use the NCCS practice exam. That is one of the important thing. Like on the first time when I saw the, I I like totally finished all the, I did the revision like 3 times, including your course and my notes and Lindenberg book topics. Not all the topics, but just important topics. And in between, when I have finished my revision for second time, I went for a practice exam that I bought from NCEES. So on that, I probably end up with getting 60%. So I was like kind of confused. Hey, what is this? I supposed to get at least 70 or 80 or 90%. So after that, I was already going for another revision. And after that, I again attempt the NCES practice exam, and I end up with getting 85 to 90%. So that was a kind of motivation, but still I was like, my aim was to get at least 95% above. So I didn't go for another time because I don't want to get exhausted and I don't want to get demotivated, because confidence is one of the best thing during the preparation. If you end up with low confidence and greater preparation time and material, it's not going to help you out to pass the exam. The one of the main thing is having a good confidence on your problem, because in actual exam you will probably have the right and wrong both answers, but your confidence going to help you out to find the right answer. So confidence is also one of the best problem. So
Wow. Like, these are really great points you mentioned. So the first one I want to point out is, like, I love how you took the practice exam, the 60%. You got a little bit, you lost a little bit of motivation. But I just want to say out there that we've had a student, I think I shared this with you guys, that we've had a student who got 48% in her practice exam. A week later, she passed her FE. So, like, the practice exam is for you so that you learn from your mistakes, right? And try to like learn as much as you can before you dive into the actual exam, and then also just to get yourself familiar with the exam environment. So we've had a student who didn't take the practice exam. He went into the exam and he couldn't finish the exam, and he realized, like, oh, I should have taken the practice exam because that would have actually helped me with time
yeah,
management, right? That's why
yep,
it's important to do practice exams for time management and also learning from your mistake. But what I really like about your story is that you took the first practice exam, you got 60%, and in the second one, you got 85%. And I like how you said, like, it helped your motivation. And that
yep,
actually, you literally described what motivation is. Like, motivation, I think I talked about this before. Motivation is not something that we have, it's something that we get, and we get by doing a lot of practice, and then also by celebrating our progress, right? Our successes, even if the small steps. And you did that from going to 60 to 85%. You celebrate that success, and that helped you stay motivated, and also helped you gain
lead me to get
confidence.
confident.
Yeah, and that's
Yep,
exactly motivation. You literally described motivation. It's like a loop, right? That you
yep,
constantly need to feed into it. And if you stop at any point, if you get stuck and you don't get help, you lose that motivation. And then that's why, it's like a cycle you got to always feed, right? So you got to
yep,
practice, you got to celebrate the small successes, which gains your confidence. And then, you just keep going and you stay motivated like that. So thank you for sharing that. That was really
sure,
amazing. The next thing I want to actually point out is so I wanted you to walk us through a little bit your notes, because you keep bringing them up, and I'm interested. One, how do you make these notes? What do you write in these notes, right? And how many times did you review your notes? Did you, for example, if you did math and you moved on to statics, would you just in the middle of the week go back and review those notes, or did you just review them till the end? And then you also said that you reviewed 3 times important topics. If you can elaborate a little bit, what do you mean by important? Like, which topics are important for you? So
sure.
those are 2 questions I asked.
Sure. So I would answer the second question first. The important topics, which means like there is some topics from where FE exam asks more questions. So I'm belong to mechanical engineering, mechanical discipline. So for mechanical, statics, dynamics, machine design, thermodynamics and heat mass transfer are the most important topics. Like if you trying to avoid those topics, I probably confident like you're gonna be fail the exam. So I used to make the notes for those important topics. Plus I used to make the notes for every topics, but those are the main important topics for the FE mechanical. Like you cannot any single of them, you cannot avoid that. And for my notes, whenever I start my preparation, if I feel, because there is like the different number of the peoples out there and everybody has the different strategies. But my own strategy to making up the notes is like whenever I go through the problem and if I see like this is a little bit tricky stuff for me, I used to write down in the note, like for everything, like how to calculate the moment and how to calculate the force from the moment diagram. So I just used to write down the steps. I don't like write down the whole theory, all the stuff. And I used to make the notes for maths, probability, and every topics. And if there is a kind of the formulas, like for example in thermodynamics, enthalpy is one of the more important things. So during that, I there is like three or four formulas related to enthalpy or related to quality and enthalpy. So I used to write down those formulas. We don't need to remember because those formulas are already in the reference handbook, but the only thing is you should at least know there is a relationship between these two terms. So having those things in the notes really helped you out, like there is something over there or something over here in the reference handbook. So at that point your notes really help you out. And if you are getting the notes from somebody else, then and after try to write down the your own notes by yourself, so you can at least input some stuff in your memory rather just reading the notes. So that is one of the main thing of having the notes. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you brought up a really good point again. So you mentioned if you get notes from someone else, make sure that you write your own notes. And the reason that is, it's important to actually take notes, guys, as you're studying, because there has been also like study shown that the people who learn, active learners, do better than those who study. So there's actually a difference between studying and learning. You know, studying is we just gain knowledge. Learning is gaining knowledge and how we can apply it. And so when you are preparing for your FE, if you really want to pass your FE and be very confident and just be prepared better for the test, being an active learner can really be a game changer. So you have to take your own notes as you're studying, and that also you're going to remember those notes yourself, right? And then also, like, you know, you might have something on your notes because you struggle with, and someone else might be like, I know this stuff, like I don't need to write these notes, and he might need something else in his notes that you don't have, right? Because we
Yep.
all different. Like you cannot take someone else's notes and use that. You have to make your own notes. Yeah.
Yep, you
Now,
can copy the notes, but still writing is the best practice. And even it applies to the problems too. Like if you are reading the problem, make sure you try to attempt by yourself. So at least you can figure it out by yourself, like how much you know, or you may probably end up getting the same answer with the different easy method. So that is the one of the good thing or good practice to solve the problem by yourself first, rather just kind of reading the problem. Yes, you can read the problems when you are just week before to the exam, because at that time you just try to revise the stuff. You don't want to spend time to calculate the problems. But that should not be the time of the first time you are seeing the problem. That should be a time where you are reading the problem, should be three or four times. So yeah.
yeah, I agree. Now, how many times did review your notes?
So as I said, like I used to like I prepared for like 8 weeks. I came up with eight weeks of scheduling plan, and in between I used to keep the some days empty. So if I am falling behind of my schedule, I can cover those topics on that day. So if I'm on schedule, then and after I used to use those empty days for reviewing my notes, so I can revise the stuff that I have prepared for that week. And for the following week, if I am still in the schedule, then I used to review the notes for the week before that and the week that I have prepared for. So that's how I used to review my notes.
Awesome. So
So it's not
go
like you are preparing for statics and dynamics and you forgot the maths. So that's a reason to review the material in between the, or try in between the topics, or if before starting the new topic of your preparation.
Yeah, yeah. I have another student who usually she's also with us in the meetups. I don't want to say her name. I'm just not sure if she will be comfortable with us sharing her name. But if you remember, she did ask that question, like, and she actually does that. Like each time she's done with the
Yeah.
topic, she actually reviews as she moves to the next one. And then when she's like, let's say in dynamics, she would actually go back and kind of review the previous ones because she doesn't want to forget them, right? And I think that's really important because you just kind of you really reinforce the concepts because so here's something that a lot of people they kind of like don't expect that's gonna happen to them is that they're gonna forget the material or like so or like getting it right away. So a lot of people have the expectation that like if I go over this problem right now today, I should be able to do it again in a month or 2 months. And that's not necessarily true, right? And you got to
Yep.
be aware of that and you got to accept that it's okay. You can't get frustrated at yourself if a month from now you review that material and you don't get it. That's okay. It's just because it really takes time for your brain to process the information. And especially if you've been out of school for a while. So you got to be patient with yourself. And I think being patient throughout this process can really help you out. But if you fight it, you're just going to keep losing motivation. So that's actually really a good point. Now, I do want to go back to Linder Book. So you use Linder Book for the mechanical section, right? That's not on the course. Is there any other material that you used for those topics?
Um, for no, I didn't use any other materials for that.
That's
Just
it.
Lindeberg book and NCES practice exam and
Okay.
your coach for the morning session.
Wow. Okay. Now, let
Yep.
me ask you another question because a lot of students who are using Linderbook as I'm speaking mostly for civil because I have more
Hmm.
experience with civil, and the majority of our students are civil. And they've shared this with me that there are a lot of questions there that are hard, and it's like when they go over the solution, they're not sure. Like why did they choose this equation? It's not like the course. I walk you guys through those steps. So it's a little bit tricky to kind of use Linder book. Now, my question is this, like when you got stuck or when you weren't sure, like how did they solve the question? What did you do? Like how did you get yourself like unstuck?
So if I specifically stuck in the problem in itself in the Lindbergh book, I used to find the solution online, or uh, I try to go into depths like what's the concept behind this problem. So because the FE exam itself is based on concept, the problems are really easy, probably end up in 3 or 4 or 5 steps, but the using the right formula and the right concept with presence of minds of using the right units, that is all about. So solving the concept is the main important thing. So yeah, answer to your question, whenever I used to stuck up, I used to find the concept behind that problem. So that really helped me out to understand. So that is one of the main thing, not going back to the topic that I have finished 2 weeks before, because I used to solve my concept. So once you solve your concept and write down the notes, then you don't need to go back again because that's already in your mind. And that's what I didn't do in my first and second trial.
Yeah. Because now you have a deeper understanding. You know
Yep.
exactly why you got there, right? You're not just following like certain steps and certain formulas. Because if you take those same steps and then if the question is changed just a little bit, you're not going to get the correct answer. But because you really dive in and you understand why it will solve this way, it helps you to solve, any given question.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Now, let's see. So we talked about the material that you studied. We also talked about the changes that you did to your material. Was there any study habits that you did differently on the third time, uh, versus the first and the second time? Like maybe did you like attempt more problems or any like study habits?
Yeah, sure. So on the first and second time, I didn't like calculated any problem by myself. I used to read the problems, and that was literally very fast on my first trial. So I was pretty much confident like I'm gonna fail for these. So on the third trial, I used to write down the solve the problems by myself, and if I got stuck up, I used to review the concept and try to solve the problem again, and apparently I used to make the notes out of it. So that was the one of the habit that I have implemented on my third trial. And the second point the second thing is like following the schedule, because you need to have a schedule for the preparation. And being a professional, you need to have your schedule for the work that you are doing, not for studying but related to the work that you are doing. So for I was also trying to spend my 2 or 3 hours a day for my preparation. And that was one of the main thing that helped me out to pass the exam and helped me out to follow the schedule on the right and finishing up the right topics on the right time. That's a reason, like keeping the empty days in between the schedules. So if you are falling behind, then you can utilize those dates for make up the things. Yep, that is and try to review the material like 2 3 times. Like you don't need to calculate the problems all the time, but the first time definitely yes, so you can get to know what are your strong points, what are your loose points. So from there you can start making up your notes and everything.
Awesome. These are really great tips. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to
Sure.
go back to your schedule. Tell us a little bit about what was in your schedule. Like, did you just have subjects? What did you include in your schedule?
So I used to include the topic names in the schedule. Like, like how math's not gonna take you to finish like more than 3 or 4 days if you are trying to solve for the first time. But yeah, it may take a week because you've been out of the school for a long time. But then it's probably gonna take you a week to finish up the math section. So like I already prepared for like 2 times, so I know how much time it takes. So based on that, I used to just write down the topic names and everything on my schedule, like maths on first 2 5 days, and on 6 and 7 I'm gonna be empty, and 8 to 10 I'm gonna start preparation for statics. After that, dynamics and everything. I try to keep the similar topics, not similar means kind of similar conceptual topics together. For like statics and mechanics of material, I used to keep them together. So because some of the concepts used in statics are also being used in mechanics of material too. So I used to keep them together. I also used to keep dynamics and mechanics, machine design together. Then after, I used to keep thermodynamics and heat mass transfer together. I tried to keep fluid mechanics and thermodynamics together, and machine design aside. So
Hmm.
like try to keep the similar topics together, so you can at least try, you will have a chance to repeat the stuff again and again.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of problems in mechanics of materials where I go like, we already covered this guys in statics,
Yep.
right? So yeah, that's actually really cool because then, it's like kind of like almost like building on stuff, right? And, statics, now you're going to add a little bit more mechanics of materials. And also you have like this really nice picture of all the materials. So you have a deeper
Yep.
understanding. That's awesome. Okay, now let's dive into the day of the exam. Or actually, let's start with the day before the FE. How were you feeling?
Yeah, I'm really good with the test. Like I don't feel anxious or nothing on the test. I'm a very cool guy and jolly person. So yeah, the day before the exam, I was just like randomly picking up my notes and review the stuff. I didn't solve any problems because I already practiced a lot before that. So a day and week before I stopped solving the problems. I used to solve a kind of random problems that I faced, but yeah, I was just reading the problems, reviewing the topics, and the day before the exam, I was just like picking up my notes and I was just like reviewing the notes. That's it. And the one of the main thing during your preparation is try to imagine the stuff. Rather you are sleeping, rather you are driving, rather you are working, like try to imagine the stuff that you already prepared, like before going to the bed, try to visualize this thing, like, oh yeah, I prepared these statics including these coordinate sections has like three different ways to ask the problems. Like try to visualize the thing. More you visualize, more you imagine, then it's gonna probably, you don't need to go back to that topic again, so more you will be feel confident. So yeah, so that's what I used to do.
Okay. Yeah, like because actually there have been also another study that they have shown that the people who review before bedtime, their notes, if you just review, like don't solve
Yep.
anything, if you just take a look at your notes, or like you said, uh, I also mentioned this in the meetups. I always tell you guys, like at the end of your study session, take a few seconds and just ask yourself, like, what did I just learn, right? Like
Yep.
just quick review. Like it takes like 5 minutes, but usually like as soon as we done with studying, we close the books and we move on to the next thing. But take a few minutes, right? Just process what you just learned. Just if you can just visualize it, and also if you can do that before bed, is study have shown that like you actually process the information better, and then you reinforce it so you remember it for a long time, which
Yep.
is
And once you finish the study, no matter what you are preparing for 2, 3 hours in the morning or in the daytime or in the nighttime, never use the cell phone or never use the digital social medias after your preparation, because you are diverting your mind from study to the social media. So never use the phones or nothing. If you want to hang out, you can talk to your family members, talk to your girlfriend, or talk to somebody else, or just listen to music or something else if you want to refresh your mind. But never use the social medias or other platforms right after your studies.
yeah, I agree. Okay, now let's dive into the day of the exam. So you don't have test anxiety, you will all chill, you're like, I got
Yep.
this, right? Okay, now how many hours did you spend on the first half versus the second half, do you
Yeah,
remember?
so time management is one of the main important thing in the FE exam. In all exams, but specifically for this exam, you will have at least 2 to 3 minutes for each problem. But not all problem gonna be taking consuming the same time. So I took almost 2 hours and 15 minutes for my first half, and then after I took the break, and after that I almost took 2 hours 5 minutes or something for my second half, because your major section or discipline focus sections or topics are coming into the second half, so you at least need like 2 hours for that. Try to get 2 hours for the second half. That's the main important thing, because some problems are going to be easy, but some problems are going to be easy and time consuming. Like for example, there is a bunch of problems where you need to use the drag and drop. So those problems is going to be the easy, but you just need to review, like, or you just need to figure it out which term I need to use over here, or which term I need to start with. So that is the one of the main thing. So yeah, I spend pretty much good time management. Like I still had like uh 10, 15 minutes extra, so at that time I was like reviewing my stuff and all the stuff.
Okay. Now, did you practice this method here while you were taking the actual practice, or when you took a practice exam? Did you practice this, and then you're like, okay, this works for me. This is what I'm gonna do in the actual exam.
No, actually, I try to manage my time during the practice exam that I took. And the another thing that I have did with my practice exam is like I mark up the topics. Like this problem is related to the math. This problem is related to statics. So I mark up those things too. But I try to manage my time. But during the practice exam, like I used to solve the 50 problems in the morning within 2.5 hours, and next 50 problems in the evening, because I used to solve my practice exams in the weekends, so I
Mm,
can have at least 4 hours or 5 hours during the weekend.
okay.
But I was also end up being with like 6 hours in total, I would say, finishing up the 100 problems in NCES practice exam.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
And did you have any guessing strategy, or how many questions did you have to guess?
Uh, so on my first so my strategy is like, whenever I go through the problem, if I feel confident like I will able to solve this problem, first of all I use elimination method out of the four options or four answers. So then after I used to, if I feel confident, then I used to go ahead and try to solve the problem and everything else. But sometimes it always happen like if you feel confident but when you stuck up, then I used to think two times, and then after I just flag that question. I don't like to spend a lot of time by thinking the same problem, because if you do so, then you're gonna probably consuming the more time, or you probably gonna not have enough time by end of the exam. So once I finish my 60 questions on my first session, then I probably have 15 flag questions, and out of the 15 I try to eliminate I try to solve all 15, but I end up with getting five correct one. Like I end up with finding the right answer for the five questions. And on my second half, I didn't remember the exact numbers, but it was around the 10, between 10 to 15.
Okay.
But out of that, I try to find confident on 3 to 4. So it doesn't mean like rest of them are all correct, but yeah, this was the situation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
You
on my first trial, that was the funny. I didn't take any time. I didn't flag any question or nothing. I was like sure confident I'm gonna fail the exam.
Oh, you were.
Yeah,
You
but
thought you were gonna fail.
yes, because I
Really?
didn't prepare much, and I was been out of school for 4 years. Out of school in terms of like topics related to the exam. Like in masters, you don't learn the statics or dynamics.
Yeah.
So
Wait. So
uh,
you're talking about your second or first attempt? Or
first trial,
okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay.
yeah.
I thought like this third attempt, you thought you were gonna fail.
No, 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 no.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and are there any areas that were difficult that you wish you would have studied more? You would have had studied more.
So I would say there is some topics in that I would say like uh, mechanics of material. Actually the things are they ask the things really easy, but they asked me a couple of questions that I wasn't prepared for, but the solution was quite easy that I can eliminate during my second review of the problems during my exam. So the mechanics of material, I probably would say I need to quite review the stuff. Not reviewing the stuff because I already know the stuff, but try to attempt the problem in different way. That's one of the thing. Like they asked the easy question, but the way of asking was quite different. And that's another thing in the NCS exam. Like they manipulate with the language.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to understand like what they are asking for, because sometimes they are looks like you are reading the problem in an easy manner, but you're for example in engineering economics, you're probably gonna think like they are asking for the present value, but actually if you understand the sentences, then you're gonna probably end up with they are asking for future value, not the present value. So they really manipulate with the language. That's one of the main thing.
Yeah. Now, are there any topics that were easier than you expected?
Nope. I would say this is an exam, so you don't expect the. It's all about your preparation. If you feel this topic is easy, then yes, you did pretty. You spend pretty good time in your preparation. If this topic is hard, then you probably need to spend more time in your preparation. That I would say, because this is a exam, so it will not be easy or hard.
Okay. Um, Now, did you have a lot of conceptual questions on the exam?
Yes.
Do you remember?
So yeah, so like basically on my I literally like appear for exam before the change and after the change. So the difference that I have noticed that in the second, in the new pattern of the FE exam, they are asking for more conceptual questions, more little bit more theoretical questions too. Like they are asking for conceptual questions related to the specific topics. So that is the one of the main thing. Like they are trying to implement more conceptual questions in the exam. It wasn't there was before conceptual questions too, but not like in these amount. So that is the main thing.
Okay.
So that is the one of the main thing to like during the preparation, try to solve the conceptual questions or try to understand the concept of the problem. So that is the one of the main thing.
Okay. Now, can you tell us a little bit like how did you prepare for those questions?
So, as I have mentioned before, like for example, in my during the preparation of the thermodynamics, if I got stuck up in specific problem, then I try to understand the concept behind that problem. Sometimes, like Lindeberg has a good theory too. You don't need to go through all the theories, but sometimes if you got stuck up in the problem or in the formula, then you really need to understand the concept, because once your concept is clear, then your confidence level is also automatically going to boost up. So that's how you solve the conceptual questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you completed the exam, how did you feel?
uh I was exhausted first of all because right after that I have to go back to the work too. So that was the main thing. And like I was feeling I was like uh, I don't have the proper words for that, but there was a it was a good feeling though, having the passing, having the appearing for the exam with the good preparation and different scheduling.
Okay. Awesome.
And
Okay.
after the
Yeah.
passing the exam, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was boosting myself, like, oh yes, like I got this.
Did you feel confident after the exam? Did you feel
Oh
like
yes,
you did? You feel like I'm gonna pass this?
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. Now let's talk about the life after passing your FE. Um, I know you said like it's not really required by your work, so it hasn't really impacted your professional life yet. Now, are you planning to take the PE?
Yes, I'm planning to take the PE by end of this year or early year of the next year. Like I'm qualified for PE. Like if I want to go for exam tomorrow, I can still do that. But before that, I want to go for another exam to just take a break out of these. So, but by end of this year or early year of next year, I just want to get rid of these. So
Awesome. And now PE mechanical, I think they offer it computer based, and so which means I think
yes,
it's offered year round, right? You don't have to
yes,
wait anymore for
yep,
October and
that's
April.
correct.
Okay, awesome. So you're gonna take it at PE mechanical. Do you know which?
I'm gonna go for
Okay,
thermodynamics and fluid.
awesome. Okay. Now, do you have any closing remarks for engineers who are trying to pass the FE exam?
Yes, I would say like try to come up with the schedule and try to solve the conceptual questions and try to get rid of the social medias and everything right after, before, or during the preparation. Because and you, if you are using, then you need to be disciplined with it. That is one of the main thing. And I would also say a part of motivation to the folks who fail the exam, that failure will never overtake if overtake me if my definition to success is strong enough. So you need to have a motivation, or you need to have a strong desire that I want to pass the exam. Then no matter what, how many times you fail, you still need to keep moving, and you still need to keep preparation and come up with the strong preparation and the confidence.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, Rushabh, thank you so much for joining us today. I really
sure.
enjoyed talking to you, and you have shared some really great tips with us today. And I really hope it's going to inspire and help people out there to keep going till they pass the FE exam. So thank you
Sure.
again for your time.
Yep.
Thank you guys for watching, and make sure to come back for more videos like this where students provide you with some great insights and also help you learn the best way to pass your FE exam. Now, if you guys like this video, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and make sure that you guys subscribe for new videos every week. Good luck with your studying, and I will see you soon. À la prochaine.